Welcome to Soul Thrive, where we explore spirituality through healing trauma, shadow work, and applying the laws of the universe in order to master ourselves without the fear of the unknown. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Thrive podcast. We are excited to bring our next guest on. Her name is Clare, and we're very excited for all the information that Clare is going to give us. Clare, why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, firstly, thank you so much for having me. I am loving your whole background and the vibe of this. I'm just like, I'm in the right space. I see the crystals and I just love it. So
I put a little love into things as best
I love it. I, on the other hand, am in my office with a whiteboard, but
I love what you have.
You've got crystals.
You've got crystals. You've got your little, like, is that like a little, like a temple, would you say, or anything like that, or just things like knickknacks that
I have my Buddha, and then I have my massive sphalerite, which is like the moon, right in the middle, and then I have like the huge rose quartz, a golden healer, more rose quartz.
Yes. Love it. I love it. Good vibes. That's what I like.
I had a crystal business. But,
okay, great.
Yeah, hi, I'm Clare. So nice to be here. Most people know me for the Real and the Raw Leaders movement, which is what I do, what I'm about. And that's all about changing the paradigm of leadership and really unlocking women's voices in particular. I do work with some men as well, but really shifting this narrative of what it means to be a leader and what it means to be an authority, and to really champion the human and to show that behind the scenes we're all the same, right? Like we're all here with our crystals, with our whiteboards, with all the best in between, and it takes nothing away from how successful we are or how we're able to help people, and that's kind of what I'm all about.
Amazing. Love it.
Nice. How long have you been doing this for?
This all happened this year.
Wow. Okay.
It's been a year. This year has been a year, let me tell you.
Tell us how it happened.
The year. That's what we want to know.
And what led you to this? We always love asking those stories. It's like, what happened? Like, what made you start this business or this initiative or this adventure? Tell us all about it.
Yeah. Honestly, you said we've only got 20 minutes. So, I mean, to condense it all in, it's like... But basically, if I told you 18 months ago, my business was selling crystals. That's what I was
so you weren't joking.
No, I was not joking. I literally, this is why I have crystals everywhere, because I love them. And that was actually my second business, but it blew up. It went crazy, really, really massive. But what happened was I found myself with all of this money, essentially, no time, because I mean, when I tell you I was doing everything, I mean, it's not even a joke. I was doing everything behind the scenes. And also this massive, empty feeling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What am I yes, this is great. I love crystals. Obviously, I love what I'm doing. I'm making good money, but something is missing. This is not what I'm meant to do for the rest of my life. I'm meant to be doing something bigger. And that's kind of when the penny dropped, right? And it was doesn't matter how much money's coming in, if you're not fulfilled, it doesn't really mean anything. And let alone the fact that I had no time to spend it anyway.
Right. It takes a lot. People don't realize how much time you have to invest in a business, right? And how much it does. Even if you hire individuals, sometimes it can be very difficult to navigate that because there is a demand of you and your time. So if you don't love it, you're going to really feel that pull in two different directions, right? So,
and especially with product-based businesses, right? It's very different to the space that I'm in now and anything that I'd been in before. And I really underestimated just how much kind of physical resource it took from you. Really, really manually heavy. But anyway, so the long story short is I had all this money. I was feeling really deeply unfulfilled and randomly started coming across the coaching industry. For whatever reason, it started showing up on my Instagram feed. I'd never even really known about it before. It wasn't a world that I was in. It was very, very new to me.
Right.
And I found this one particular woman who was talking a lot about manifestation. And I was quite new into the spiritual world and all that kind of thing. And I was like, ooh, this sounds interesting, right? She's living her best life. She's talking about how happy she is and all this kind of stuff. So that was my first experience of coaching. I invested in her high level 9-month 20K program. And I was like, whatever, I've got money to burn. Like,
Okay.
this looks like it's going to help me. And it was kind of everything that I needed, but nothing that I wanted.
Okay. Right.
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 It was like the universe stripping me back to, okay, so this is what you think you want your life to be, but actually we've got kind of different plans for you. We've got,
Right.
it's not what you actually think it's meant to be. And I ended up burning my crystal business down to the ground in a matter of months of working with this woman. And then finding myself in the coaching industry, thinking, okay, this is more like purposeful. This feels like something that's in alignment with me. I've always been a kind of helper and the go-to person, right? Virgo here as well. Always been that.
Oh, hello.
There's your Virgo right here. Ivana's a Virgo.
We're always the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
For the good advice. So I was like, okay, this feels like
Somebody pay me for the good advice, damn it.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Yeah. And so very quickly in that, I was like, this is not it. It wasn't, it didn't click, everything felt really forced. It was like I was having to really like push for things to happen. And I'd never had to do that before. And it didn't feel good. And I started then feeling very inferior, very inadequate. Like, what was I doing wrong and everyone else was doing right? All of the comparisons started creeping in, and it just sent me on this whole spiral of really self-deprecation and feeling like I wasn't good enough.
And this is when you were starting your coaching business, right?
Yeah.
After you shut down the crystal business. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So I've now not got money coming in because I'm
right. What a difference.
I'm like, now I'm very impulsive, right? I'm just like, let's just fucking go. Let's just do it. I'm also, I don't know if you guys are into human design, but I'm also a line 3-6. So like my life is trial and error, right? It's like just and learn the lesson.
I have to do mine. I heard all about that. Anyway, that's a whole different methodology.
We're gonna have someone who's coming on to do this.
The human design?
Human design, yep.
Okay, sick.
So good.
All right.
It's so like when you hear it, you're like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. So found myself in that spiral. I was working with a different mentor then at this point, and after probably about 4 months of this, like every week on the phone to her, crying my eyes out, like I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do anymore. Like I thought this was it. It doesn't feel like it's it. What do I do now? Like I don't want to go back to crystals, but it was bringing in good money. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should go back and do that. All of these questions now. And there was a moment where I was on holiday in Turkey with my girls, on the phone to my mentor, like over the balcony, because there was hardly any reception, tears literally running down my face. And I was like, what do I do? Just tell me what to do. And she said, I can tell you, but I need to know you're ready to hear it. And I was like, shit. That's not going to be good, right? Like, that's going to be good. And so she said, are you happy? And my immediate response was, what a stupid freaking question. I'm on the phone crying.
I'm here crying.
I'm literally on the phone with you crying. What are you asking me?
Like week after week after week. Like, of course I'm not happy.
Yeah.
But it was rhetorical, right? It was like, you're not happy. Why? Why are you forcing something? Who are you trying to prove something to? Like what?
It
when
felt
do you
like
say?
you were being pulled into the perspective, an awakening, right? It was like, you're good at business, you're good at, making money, you're good at, probably
helping people.
You understood what your values were, but when it's about leveling up in your life, there's this point where you're gonna have to face a lot of your grief, a lot of these other layers within yourself, so that you can level up to the next phase, right?
Yeah, and I love that you just use those words, because I mean we'll have to like circle around to this, but I'm actually creating an in-person event next year called, well, it was originally going to be called Next Level. So anyway, we can get to that. But yeah, so I had this call with her, and basically after she said that, she said, look, you have two choices, right? I mean, she gives it to you like it is. There's no like sugarcoating. She's like, look, you have two choices. You either keep doing what you're doing, you're probably going to make some money, you're going to see some success, but you're going to keep feeling like this.
Yeah.
Or you stop. Like, you just stop. Stop doing what you're doing. Stop trying to be who you think that you should be. Stop putting yourself in this box that you've put yourself in, and find who you are. And that was the moment where I really surrendered. And this was my big word for this year. Like, I had to surrender control completely.
For a Virgo, very hard.
Yeah.
So hard.
We are doing better.
Yes, we are.
We are making strides.
So hard. So hard, honestly. And this was my lesson. It was, I had to stop thinking that I knew better than, you know, the universe, God, divine source, whatever you want to call it. I had to stop feeling like everything had to be my way or the highway, and really just surrender, allow myself to start exploring and having fun and really experimenting and coming back to, who am I? Like, who am I apart from being an entrepreneur, which was my identity, really? It was everything. So who is Claire without that? And that was hard, right? I would have days
because it strips you down to your vulnerabilities. It really puts you in a very weak position, or the idea of weakness. And when you're somebody who's got the perfectionism and the need to bulldoze and push against yourself and control and resist.
This is the anti-Virgo podcast.
I'm just saying.
It's true. I was just going to say, when you're a Virgo and you are all about image.
100%.
There, we are self-aware enough to call ourselves out.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, because you guys are such a great example of it being possible.
Right.
It's possible. You have the ability to go there, but you also have to check in with your emotions to have the awareness of, I'm there, but is this what I want? Is this where I want to be?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so what happened is, I basically came back from holiday and I told my people, right, like online, I came online and I said, look, I've been away for a week, but everything has changed.
Right.
And I said, I'm going on a journey, right? I'm going on a journey of self-exploration. I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I don't even know who I'm going to be on the other side of it. Like, I was so surrendered to the process at that point, because I was like, nothing can be worse than feeling like this every day. Like, I was at that point where I was like, I don't care how freaking hard this is. It can't be worse than this.
But it's also very brave.
Yeah.
Like, you're being very brave to be able to say, I don't know where it's going to lead me. I'm going to have a fear of the unknown, but I'm still moving in that direction.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love power in that.
Yeah, and I love the word that you used, vulnerability, a minute ago, because that's a big part of my movement now. Because what happened, it ended up being a month, right? I didn't know it, obviously, in the beginning, how long it would be, but it ended up being about a month, and I called it the void, because it was really unknown. Everything was unknown about it. And so through that month, I started sharing in real time what I was experiencing and navigating and feeling and going through. And I took my audience with me. And there was no ulterior motive, right? I didn't know where I was taking them. I had nothing to sell them. It was just because I wanted to show this is reality. Like, this is human, and we're all human. And so eventually one thing led to the other, and the Real and the Raw Leaders movement was born. At some point during the end of that 4 weeks, I was just sat on my bed and it just dropped in. I don't know where it came from. It was just like, Real and Raw. This is the thing.
There's the idea. Yeah.
There's the idea.
And that's how Virgos get ideas. That's so funny. That's happened to me too. It's like when you slow down and then you're like, get out of the shower and it's like, you should do this. And it's like, okay. Sorry, I was too busy cleaning for the last 2 weeks that it couldn't come to me, you know?
Yeah.
True, it's
And
true.
from that moment, everything is just spiraled like crazy. It's
Okay.
just gone absolutely insane in the best way possible,
Mhm.
but in such a surrendered way, in such an aligned way, in such a fulfilled way, to the point where literally a couple days ago, I actually realized that the movement has really turned into a media platform. Like we've now got
All
like
right.
stages and summits
Mhm.
and podcasts and magazines and like so many different things. And it's just happened. Like it's just happened. And that is where we are now.
Got it. Well, I just
Nice.
love the message overall. Like, I think people, the like the enthusiasm of like just surrendering and tapping into your emotional self, your vulnerability, and letting go of the control will give you that moment of inspiration for you to then really listen to your intuition and be guided towards what would make you happy, what would actually bring you a sense of fulfillment. Because most people do lead with the idea that I just want to make money. Right? Like
Yeah.
there's like, I just want to make money. How am I going to make money? And it's like, if you're leading with that perception and that goal, it's not that you can't, but you're never going to feel a sense of fulfillment versus what you've done, where it's like, I just want to be happy and I want to create from a place of happiness and vulnerability and connection. And that brings people towards you. And there's like an opening that happens with
Hmm.
that. Your energy feels very open and expansive, and it brings in the types, not to say you won't have contrast, but it brings in the opportunities for that to keep that momentum of happiness, which
And
is really beautiful.
yeah, and it's so true because there's so many coaches that I see online and I'm repelled because it doesn't feel like they're in their
No, they're just selling
authentic
something.
truth. They're like, or I'm like,
They're selling.
something just doesn't feel right, and I'm like, I don't even feel pulled. But like just listening to your story, I'm like, that's great. Like I feel like,
Yeah,
Resonates, right? It's one of those things that it
exactly.
yeah, if
resonates.
we
Yeah.
lived in the same city, I would come to the event. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I
Who
mean?
knows? Maybe we'll
Exactly.
fly to the UK.
Yeah, we'll fly.
We
But
Well, do you
fine.
know what? I have people
Yeah.
flying to the
Yeah.
UK
yeah,
for it. Like
yeah.
this is how crazy, I don't want to say mad, but like this is how much things have spiraled. And like you say, it's because now I'm relatable, right? Because
Hmm.
I'm human and we're all relatable if we allow ourselves to show that. But so many leaders think that if they're going to be relatable, they're going to
Hmm.
lose authority, they're going to lose credibility, and ultimately people won't pay. That's what it comes back to. But the
Yeah.
reality is that we want connection.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
want to feel related. Like I want
yeah.
to work with people that I like. I don't care what
Yes.
anyone says. Like I
Yes.
Totally. And you spend so much time at work, and
It's
it's
so true.
I love it because I recently stepped into I've had a couple of leadership roles, but I think this last one was a significant one for me in my career. And it's interesting that you work with women leaders, and I also very much see the difference in the way women lead and the way men lead. But I'm curious, what would you say is like the biggest misconception when it comes to what it is to be a good leader?
It's vulnerability is the core of it. Like people, like you said earlier, people perceive vulnerability to be weakness. And it
Mhm.
is actually like the biggest
Like the
superpower.
superpower. Yeah.
Yeah,
See, we're on the same page.
100%.
Superpower.
Yeah, because when you show your vulnerability, like that right there is strength.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, it is that
But it
complete
also
obvious
disarms,
contrast.
I also find that it disarms people from being able to control you and to try to take something from you.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, then you go into the whole shame reclamation, right?
Yes,
And
right? So
like,
it's like if I've already put it out there, you have no
yeah.
power over me,
100%. Yeah. And
right?
I do that all the time. Like I
Yeah.
literally shame reclaim all the time.
I
And
like
I
that.
did
Shame reclaim.
Mm.
I
yeah.
love
I did a
that.
post the other day. I think I went live and I shared that I had just had one of my biggest cash months last month. Like it's not huge, like 10K, something like
Yeah.
that in a moment,
Yeah.
which in this business is my biggest cash month.
Yes.
And
But
there's a lot of competition in that space.
Oh
I just
yeah.
want to add to that. Everybody and their mother is a coach today, especially
yeah, and
leadership
I'm adamant
and
I
like
am not a coach.
women. Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not in that world, but I create events, I create stages, and I mentor, right? I
Yes.
mentor people who want to be in this world. But anyway, so I shared that I had that, but yet that morning I had a ping on my phone that my bank balance had gone into an overdraft.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. You get like
Scared that.
what panic kicking for you? You'd have a heart attack.
That happened to me in Colombia. What do you mean? We already talked about that. When I quit my job and I was like, oh my God, I don't have a paycheck coming in.
And I'm
Freaked
a
out.
Pisces. I'm like, what are you worried about? You've never been without. You're always going to be okay. Like it's fine.
Yeah,
That's the last time.
But I'm like, but I'm in minus whatever.
I know, I know. And again, it's like that whole persona of money equals success,
Yes.
right? So if I'm there, you can do it two ways. I could have created something that said, I've just had my highest cash month, like this is fucking great, like, go me.
Yeah.
And it would have been factually accurate, but it would have been such a disservice to people because in reality, yes, that's true, but I have bills, I have debts, I have things. It's Christmas,
So many other things are true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like that money's gone. I'm creating an event. It's like there are outgoings.
Yeah,
and there's
people
none
also
left.
don't know. People don't also know, and this is what bothers me too. It's like in order for you to run a business, you need to invest in that. People don't understand. Like you're gonna go rent an event space. You're gonna go dish money. Like I did an event back in October. I had to pull out of my own pocket and pay for that venue, and then maybe sell out those tickets. Maybe it's not guaranteed, right? And you have to say to yourself, again, I'm leading with my joy and my happiness as this is what my value is. And if someone likes that, they're going to show up. But I could take a loss here.
Yeah.
And so running a business is like, it's a lot of that. You have to invest. And then you have to say, but there's a lot of people who don't want to do that. And they are like, oh, well, maybe I'll get a sponsor. I'll get this person to come in and invest and do. And it's like, but now you're bringing in all this other energy that has nothing to do with what your personal intention was to begin with. And it's not working out anyways. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
How are you going to handle that rejection?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And what I find is in sharing things like that, again, we drop that mask, right? It's like, okay, we could lead with the smoke and the mirrors and, put ourselves on this pedestal because we want people to think that it's working and that might mean that they want to work with us. Or we could just tell the truth.
Because it's misleading. It's kind of like misleading, even as an entrepreneur. If you're like always posting about you had a successful month and look at what I'm doing, that's so great and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, that's misleading because of course you have struggles. Of course you have bills to pay. Of course you still have to make decisions where you have to invest money and maybe that money never comes back. Like it's still hard. Entrepreneurship there's positives and negatives. There's good things and scary things. But if you just share the positive, that when I look at that, I'm like, this person doesn't feel I want nothing to do with them.
Well, not only just that, but I think too, like when someone's always saying everything's so amazing, this is so awesome.
Oh my God.
And like, oh my God, this is so great.
Bullshit.
Like, so what happens when it actually is awesome? There's no feeling there because you've just been saying the same thing over and over and over again. And now it's like, it's normalized now. So when it comes down to really celebrating your win, it doesn't matter. It's lost in that translation because you've put it into that experience, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So like no one's going to know the difference.
But also, is it really possible that only great things are happening? Like,
no.
That's a whole nother thing. Like that's
universal law, right? You have to have opposite. You have to have balance. You have to have duality. And I love what you just said because a lot of people get this kind of twisted and they're like, oh, but I don't want to just share like bad things, right? And it's like, that's not what my movement is about. My movement is about sharing the full picture. It's about sharing the 360 degrees. Yes, we want to hear the successes, of course. That's inspirational and it gives us something to motivate us. But if we don't see the polarity and the contrast, then we don't believe it's possible. And we don't see ourselves in your story. And therefore we think that there's something wrong with us. We're inadequate. We can't do it because you have it all together. And therefore we give up. Or we just start beating ourselves up. So real and raw leadership, it's about showing all of it, the contrast, the highs, the lows, the breakdowns, the breakthroughs, like the messy middle, right? And this is why I'm so passionate about real-time sharing. And I share like as I go, right? I'm like, I'm creating this event, like this is what I'm doing, this is stretching me, I feel really fucking uncomfortable, like some days I'm up, some days I'm down, but I'm doing it anyway. And in me sharing that in real time, my audience get to be involved in that, and they get to like watch a live screen TV show. It's like the latest Netflix binge, right? Like, oh my God, come on, let's go, like she's gonna make it, she's gonna make it, like, and they want you to win, they want to cheer you on, and they want to be there with you. And that's, for me, what my movement is all about.
And also, isn't it through adversity and challenges that you become a stronger leader? I mean, you don't become it by not like resolving conflict or by not overcoming challenges. So to me, it's almost like, I love that. It's like that cliche interview question, like, tell me about a time when when something shitty happened, and how did you overcome it? How did you come out of it? Because
I laugh because I have the worst memory ever. Like, it's like, for me, because I'm an intuitive shadow worker, all of that.
Christina in a corporate world.
Like, when someone asks me a question like that, it's like, it's not that I draw a blank, and it's not that I don't have information to say. It legitimately is like, I've resolved that and processed that the idea of sharing it, it's like, I don't have an example to give you right now, because it's literally like, I've moved that version of
you had no need to retain that.
Like, that version of me, we've buried it. It's rebirthed itself. This is where I'm at right now.
You still have challenges in your business every day that you overcome every day.
Every day. And like, one of the biggest challenges for me is not being able to show up every single day on Insta stories, because as a psychic, as an intuitive, it's way too much energy. I get drained really quick. So I have to find other ways to show up energetically, which I do. I try to compensate in other ways. So I don't feel like people need to be like showing up in a story every single day or showing them that way, but by a post, by sharing a post about your vulnerabilities or the things that you're focusing on. Like, there's other ways of filtering.
And you talk about your struggle. I mean, you talk about personal experience even this morning in the workshop, in the last
I do.
podcast. So it's like you
share. There's no lying. There's always vulnerability.
You share the good and the bad about even doing your job.
Yes, I try to.
Yeah. And that right there is real and raw leadership, because it's showing the human, and it's not trying to be better than anyone else. It's not trying to be like on top of the mountain, right? And be like, look, I made it. Now you climb and meet me up here. It's like, okay, I'm going up this mountain, like, let's climb it together, because I'm a leader and I can pull you, but we're still side by side. Like, there's no
I like that you said that, side by side. You're not behind me and you're not in front of me. We're walking together as a team. And I think that a real leader, an authority, as you put it, knows that, registers that. They say, you're not separate from me. You're not ahead of me. You're not behind me. We are one. We are working collectively together. And like, I know that, I think you believe in, like, that was something as far as an authority could go, or a leader in some ways, but the way you just said that makes complete sense. I do want to ask one question, because I think we're going to wrap things up a little bit. So when is your next event?
Yeah, so I have two. So my virtual one, the Legend Summit, is 3rd to the 7th of March. That's online, and we have speakers literally from across the globe, and anyone can tune in, because you
amazing.
Yes. That's free to join as well, to watch. And then my in-person event is the 1st of June, which is in London, UK. And
you never know, we may show up in London.
Well, I mean, we have people flying. So some of the speakers coming from California, from Wisconsin, London as well. So I'm super excited and nervous about that.
Of course.
Nice.
Of course you're going to be nervous. What's one piece of advice you can offer someone right now if they're just starting off, maybe, besides just like connecting with their happiness, but what's something that you think that would be valuable to offer someone right now?
Honestly, I always give this bit of advice, is stop consuming. And I know some people are like, but you create, right? And I'm like, but that's my prerogative. If I want to create and not consume, I can do that. That's my energy. But stop consuming, because you're consuming because you're trying to find the answers outside of yourself.
Right.
And if you just come back to yourself and trust yourself and listen to yourself and allow yourself to actually do what you want to do and say what you want to say and share what you want to share and show how you want to show, it will work itself out.
I love that.
You're consuming because you think someone else has the secret and they don't.
Yeah. But I love it. Isn't consuming the opposite of creating? consuming, it's almost like
Yeah,
taking,
yeah, yeah.
creating is putting out.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I like that.
I
That's a
love
good
that.
one.
Yeah.
Stop consuming.
Yeah, I love
Stop
that.
scrolling. That's a subliminal.
Yeah. Claire, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. This was an amazing conversation. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, and we'll have all your links and where everybody can kind of connect with you. Maybe you never know, more people will come to you.
Selfie in London.
Yeah, you never know, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.